Welcome to another episode of the Blank Canvas, a project brought to you by Plinko Solutions focused on AI and accessibility, building business infrastructure in real time. Today's an interesting one. I've been out pretty much for most of the day, but I've set some good seeds that kind of came back to me once I took my foot off the pedal, as you would say, as you know, call it off the pedal, meaning it's just not working 12 to 15 hours, working like a normal person. Once I started to do that, talk about these things and actually, get people interested in how AI is being used today to build business infrastructure, they started to see how they can use their imagination to build it for themselves. And that led me down some interesting paths. Recently, talking a lot about AI agents. So, recently, take you guys over here. Very briefly, I basically talked about how AI agents, as we know it, token on the industry, is basically a language model attached with memory. Adding the additional layer of an actual task or, as you would call, digital workforce kind of approach, basically a set of instructions for what we want it to do, we started to explore something really interesting. So within the domain of browser agents, specifically ChatGPT agent mode, Airtop.ai, browser use, like AI agents that process and understand pages as they look at it, use optical character recognition, Playwright, Puppeteer, whatever it is, to basically say, hey, these are the boxes that are on the screen. Here's me making logic of it. Even for yourself, when I do this and you see something like this, crazy diagram, you look at the box, you try to follow the arrows, your mind is doing a sort of processing piece. Browser agents are very similar. Whereas if you fed this to just an AI agent and they see arrows on just the two-dimensional kind of deterministic structure that automations and prompt engineering follow, it's hard for it to extrapolate. So that being said, interesting piece for today. I've been exploring in terms of affiliates and partnerships. I've been able to really wrap my head around a few things. So let's talk about it. When it comes to browser agents, the pricing model that exists on the market is quite expensive. So Manus.im proposed, I see, you don't even have pricing at the top of wire here. You get 500 credits pretty much to start with, and 1,000 credits, I think, by the month. This one, I think it stacks up. So now I've stacked to like 2,800 credits, which is pretty sweet. You kind of just let it grow. But to actually pay for things, right, you get these monthly plans that, based on the usage, is actually like nominal. So when we talk about credits, what are credits? Credits are operations, basically every request. For example, Airtop, similar tool, offers 5,000 credits on their free plan. And the way it works is very similar, where it just like simulates a human going through, clicking, being an AI agent that accesses the page and makes sense of it. That's pretty much like what it's doing, and not on a script basis, but on a usage basis. So it's learning in real time. Another tool that I'm exploring a partnership with right now is called BotFlows. So this one is under the radar, very much like set amount of people are able to even use it to begin with. What it is a marketplace for you to use browser agents. The UI is getting a overhaul soon, but a big piece of it is really cool because similar to Appify in terms of pricing models and affordability, the way it works here is the credits are now actually compute units, whereas the credits in the other platforms are just credits. They were just like, build tokens. In this case, the way it works with Appify, if you're unfamiliar, is there's a marketplace of these things called actors. These actors are essentially scripts that people, dojos, let's say dojos, API dojo is one of them. Like these little, I don't want to say little, these dev shops go and create these scripts that achieve business logic, and they go ahead and they sell it to people. So you can imagine a Facebook ad scraper is useful to somebody working with ads. A Instagram scraper is useful for someone working with Instagram. TikTok, similar. What's interesting about these things is, for example, with TikTok, as you can see with a automation / script, you're limited to the data that the code has access to. The difference is browser agents have access to the interface that humans interact with. And for example, with TikTok specifically, because it's a very video centric platform, um, the data that you can kind of pull from it is limited. So in this case, it's the discovery pieces, it's the trending, it's the analytics. That's what they're looking to really focus on. There's only certain like research tools, for example, this one, that basically allows you to feed it video and for it to analyze and make sense of it. For me, playing around with it, you have to upload an MP4. It's a research project at the end of the day, so you get what you get with it. But for me, as you can imagine, with these things, it's really just like indexing and making sense of it. So shout out to Grin Eisenberg, amazing genius within the space. 30-minute video that I wanted to dissect on browser agents. I pretty much was able to throw it into here, use my free 15 minutes worth, index it, and start to pull apart questions from it. So I can learn, I can basically, analyze, embed it, look for kind of like the relations, as you can see here, which is pretty cool if you're into that. If you're not, and this looks like academic wasteland, which I wouldn't call it a wasteland, but it's like, think about it like this. If you're a biologist, right? Put a big camera for this point to be made. Research in AI is fun and is great and it's needed and it's useful. Research in AI that's framed as economic value walks a fine line. And I think the more you can make that model self-feeding, right? You build a real marketplace that actually has people pay for what they're using and not pay for like a little window for them to learn how to use the tool, potentially learn it or not. They can use it for 30 minutes, hit their usage limit, and then throw it out the window, which a lot of these tools, that's the experience. These other approaches that are more market friendly and more community based build a real relational marketplace, right? And that's what you're looking for at the end of the day. When it comes to browser agents, I think as we approach more of this kind of like build your digital employee kind of approach, for example, we went over earlier today, we're going to be talking about this more in the Citizen Developer podcast, but right now, a lot of the largest companies that sell agents, browser-esque agents, I would say, their advertising, all of their pieces are about the workforce and digital employees. So for example, Lindy, let's see if it'll lock me in. It's all about having these digital employees that work on your behalf, kind of get things done for you. I'm going to go to sales here, right? Your next hire isn't human. It's the AI agent, right? That's the principle behind it. There's another one too. I'll show you here. Not related to the paper crane, but we'll have to dig for it. But basically, there's these kind of like, it's supposed to be a digital workforce, right? Something you kind of combine and have it work for you on your behalf. The reality behind that is people are notoriously limited to their management skills. So if you yourself can't design a team or you haven't designed a team in the past, the chances of you doing so now are only marginally up. However, the use, the accessibility and the tools and the ability to do so, that wall is relatively low. You are currently 10 hours away from building something that will give you 10 hours back within your business, within what you're doing with your building. And by watching material like this, where you're like, okay, the citizen developer concept, it's a great movement. What about me? All right. What about like the jobs that you work today? And how can you layer AI to make that happen? This is where that begins, because now you're positioning these intelligence systems as assistants and thinking assistants and development assistants. And that's what you need at the end of the day, is that true support. And then from there, you'll see kind of like these big pitches towards orchestration, right? So having one AI agent watch the other ones. So see a lot of that coming forward and building it in real time. So stay tuned for that. See you guys in the next one.